In this video, I'm going to try to explain what happened in Turkish local elections recently. Turkey just had presidential elections 10 months ago in which President Erdogan has won in the second round. Back then, Turkey looked like one of those countries that were going down the path of illiberalism, rather totalitarianism even. However, the local elections that took part in the 31st of March came as a surprise. The main opposition party, CHP, won the elections landslide in nearly all main cities. That came as a somewhat surprise. So how come the opposition that lost the presidential race won landslide in the local elections? I'm going to try to explain. First of all, there definitely is a candidate factor. In the presidential elections, nearly all opposition parties came together and decided on a relatively weaker figure as a candidate. The idea was to promote the institutions and the system rather than a strong, charismatic leader. Well, that strategy has failed. In the local elections, two star figures of the opposition basically shouldered the main campaign. The mayors of Ankara and Istanbul, İmamoğlu and Yavaş, are now the two front figures of Turkish politics. They acted as catalyzers for the rest of Turkey too. The AK Party side, however, the only strong figure is Erdogan, and no one can come forward as a next so-called political star in the existing party structure. One other factor was the opposition went back to its roots. Formerly, like back in the presidential elections, the strategy of the opposition was acting like a conservative party to win conservative votes. They prioritized to put front more conservative figures, and they gave such messages. This time, they stopped acting as a right-wing party but went back to their social democratic roots, and that has worked. Well, social democratic messages has worked because Turkey is going through a massive economic crisis. After 2015, Erdogan turned to populist, irrational economic policies. He started acting like an Islamist Chavez, so to say, which sparked obviously massive inflation and deflated public treasury. As the populist policies became impossible to pursue, he tried to make a U-turn, which had a huge toll on the middle class. This totally caused AK Party, which is Erdogan's party, to lose. Since Turkey became weaker financially, Erdogan lost his power to maneuver politics. Which hurt him the most was the trade relations of business people close to AK Party with Israel. A newly emerging smaller Islamist party owned this agenda and started criticizing Erdogan for not being able to cut the trade ties with Israel after the war on Gaza started. This hurt Erdogan also massively. As we're seeing in the exit polls, some of the AK Party voters decided not to go and vote just because of this factor. After the elections, Erdogan did not contest the results. Well, he did not wholeheartedly, congratulate the opposition, but he accepted the results basically. And he basically underlined in his speech that they were taking lessons from the results of this election. He also added he will not return to populist economic policies as a positive message to the markets. So, what are we seeing in Turkey? As a result, as a conclusion, we are witnessing an emergence of a new political generation in Turkey. Normally, the presidential elections are in 2028. However, if Erdogan cannot fix the economy, the opposition might have an upper hand pushing for early elections. As a conclusion, we are witnessing an emergence of a new political generation in Turkey. Normally, the presidential elections are in 2028. However, if Erdogan cannot fix the economy, the opposition might have an upper hand and they might push for the early elections. We will see.